Okay, last video for the night.
Anime streaming platforms HiDive and Crunchyroll joined streaming alliance with 13 other specialty platforms. This is horrendous news, like terrible news. There's no way to spin this.
Are you fucking kidding me, YouTube? I can know. What is wrong with you? Why do you keep... Does spacebar work at least? Nope, spacebar still doesn't work either, so... What is... Okay.
In a positive light, this is marking basically the end of HiDive. Because HiDive has been bleeding anime.
Wait, hold on. Crunchyroll uploads broken file for the new Spy Family episode. Meaning that they bought and then redistributed the video file or an episode of Spy Family that didn't fucking work. I rewind to show you in greater detail, but I can't.
As of late, they have been bleeding a lot of series to Crunchyroll, like for instance Oshinoko, and they have clearly not been doing so hot because their competitor is Crunchyroll, which at this point owns basically a monopoly on anime in the West.
This is brand new. 5 hours ago, I didn't realize. Okay,
so I've talked about this over and over again, so I'm not going to get back into that. The point of the matter is that Crunchyroll has been eating away their competition, basically pushing them out of the industry.
Crunchyroll uploads broken file for Spy Family. They distributed a version of Spy Family that didn't fucking work.
Or devouring them by basically buying them out. For instance, what happened to either Funimation, what happened to Right Stuff, and I see that eventually they're going to set their sights on Viz Media. But it seems like at this point, HiDive is at a kind of a crossroad. They either succumb to Crunchyroll, for instance, get bought out by them, or Sony in this case, or they join an alliance with them and slowly push off their death for a few years. And that more or less is what it seems like is going on here, that this is HiDive's last-ditch effort to try to get out of the red and try to have some form of, like, income and try to fight back against Crunchyroll, but they realize that they can't fully fight back, so they're like, I guess let's just be buddy-buddy with them and maybe we can get some series from them and have, you know, simulcasted releases, for instance.
That's not gonna work. No, I'm sorry, it's not gonna work. If you surrender to them now, they will cannibalize you. Like, Microsoft did to Skype.
It's whatever release on Crunchyroll might come to HiDive. Maybe that's what they're thinking, but this is bad because the fact that they're doing a streaming alliance with Crunchyroll is something that happened kind of similar to Funimation. For those that don't know, a while back, it was years ago, back in like 2017, maybe 2016, it was a long time ago, okay? Don't quote me on the exact year, but it was way before 2019. Crunchyroll and Funimation worked together. They had an alliance where they would release series on each other's platform, and it was, at that time, it seemed very beneficial. But it obviously was kind of sinister when you really think about it, where it was like one company was going to buy out the other. And eventually, that's what exactly happened. You had Crunchyroll take over Funimation. Everything from Funimation was brought over into Crunchyroll. They consumed Funimation. And I feel like that's what this is leading to. It's leading to HiDive being devoured by Crunchyroll, and it's just going to be the end for any competition, because I want to state this because I think this is very important context for the video. Crunchyroll...
If Crunchyroll is smart, they will leave HiDive alive. They'll give it just enough food to survive so that they can avoid the monopoly, all the monopoly suits that will happen if they take all the actions that they want to keep doing, like we discussed earlier. If they want to keep behaving like that, they need HiDive alive. So, if they're smart, they'll do that. However, from what I've seen, Crunchyroll is stupid. So they will eat HiDive, and then they'll have to be fighting monopoly regulations for the rest of their life if the government does what it's supposed to fucking do, which is quite literally a coin toss.
Does not have any direct competitors besides HiDive. Like, yes, you could argue Disney, Hulu, and Amazon to an extent, and sometimes Netflix, but they're not strictly anime platforms. Crunchyroll is an anime streaming service with anime merchandise. HiDive is as well. There is no other streaming service that is a competitor to Crunchyroll besides HiDive. And if HiDive falls, there's no competition. It's over.
And then the monopoly regulations ensue.
It's completely over. Crunchyroll has a 100% monopoly, at least on the actual main focus of anime streaming services. There is no direct competition at that point. So what this basically means is that they would have a monopoly. We already knew this, but they would definitely cement the fact that they would have a monopoly. But before we go any further, we need to read this article. And the reason why it's important to talk about this article is because it's not just the fact that HiDive and Crunchyroll and a few other specialty streaming services are teaming up with a streaming alliance, but they do some corpo speak that basically indicates that they want to...
Corpo speak, huh? Well, then that would fall under... Where is it? Poppy's favorite part of the Corporate Brainrot stream. Where is it? Come on. Oh yeah, it was number 15, wasn't it? Here it is. Yep, right here. Relying on corporate or HR speak to talk to the employees, and the public. Well, let's take a look at this. Corpo speak.
To regulate and push certain agenda within their streaming platforms.
Provide a unique collective voice for specialized services in the streaming industry. This coalition will work to ensure a more equitable regulatory environment where members have a strong collective voice in global regulatory and policy debates. Wow, that was a whole lot of fucking nothing. Provide a unique collective voice for specialized services. What do you mean a collective voice? And what do you mean specialized services? You are a platform for people to watch content on. Are you good? Oh no, are they going to do the AI dubbing thing from Amazon? Probably not. They don't have nearly enough power to do that. And unique collective voice. You guys shouldn't be fucking talking. Rest on your laurels. This coalition will work to ensure a more equitable regulatory environment where members have a strong collective voice in global regulatory and policy debates. More fucking nothing. Other than more regulations, aka censorship. And policy debates, aka bureaucracy is king. And equitable regulatory. We are going to find more ways to monetize and censor everything through bureaucracy and overcharging you guys up the ass. There you go. I just translated all that for you.
Last month, 15 specialty streaming services, including the anime services HiDive and Crunchyroll, announced the formation of the Specialty Streaming Advocacy Coalition Beyond Mainstream, a global streaming alliance. Per its media release, Beyond Mainstream aims to provide a unique, collective voice for specialized services and the streaming industry. The coalition will work to ensure a more equitable regulatory environment where members have a strong collective voice in the global regulatory and policy debates. And so that's a lot of corpo speak for pretty much censorship or pushing certain prices and subscription prices.
I'm glad he was able to see through that too. I'm very happy to see that.
And let me explain why I'm saying that. First off, the fact that they're talking about policy debates, regulatory, global regulatory, and just regulations and stuff like that, it implies that if one company wants to say put their prices for $15 for their streaming service, all the other companies will follow suit around the exact same price, pretty much.
Oh my god, I was right. Oh my god, I was so much more right than I thought I was. Earlier I was discussing how monopolies now behave like gas companies. How in the past, gas companies kept lowering their prices to try and compete with each other, and how that was costing them a lot of money. So they all got together and started margining all their prices within the same area. So they didn't have to do that anymore. They were behaving like a mafia or a organized crime mafia, where all a bunch of different gangs get together and yeah. But he's right. I didn't realize that my allegory would actually come true. Within the same 3 hours. I'm always right, even when I don't know I'm right. I'm right. Mm.
Pricing out anyone else within the industry where they can't really compete back, because if they work together as an alliance, they're pretty much putting the certain amount of limit or money that they all can do, and basically they're not one-upping each other, downing each other. They're more or less working together to kind of force out anyone else in the industry that's not working with them outside of their field.
Yep, it's a collective monopoly, not a singular monopoly, like I said earlier. They are happy to keep their competitions around so that monopoly regulations no longer apply to them. As I've been saying all night, that's what they want. And surprisingly, I didn't expect Crunchyroll to get involved in that, especially with a bunch of websites I've literally never heard of. Maybe it's trying to become like the new dawn of the anime world.
It definitely feels kind of like a monopoly and malicious in a way. I don't know exactly what you would call this, but it kind of feels like a legal mafia. It shouldn't be legal, maybe it's not, but even if these companies are...
Actually, I think it is illegal. I think this might count as collusion. Wait, yeah, I think it's collusion.
Not, let's say, owned by one company, like Sony owns them all or something, or Microsoft or whatever. The point is that these companies are working together to probably do the exact same policies. Well, they admitted that, the exact same policies and agenda, right?
Yeah, it's a crime. Now, whether or not the bureaucracy of the American legal system would let this be classified as a crime, I'm not certain. But it sounds a lot like collusion to me.
Regulatory environment and everything, it pretty much implies that they will all kind of do the exact same thing, the exact same subtitles or whatever, how they release things, how they will censor things, it will all be the same. So if you go to one service expecting it to be different from, let's say, Crunchyroll, like first you want to go to HiDive because you don't like Crunchyroll's policies and how they handle things, you're going to get the exact same thing from HiDive because of this alliance. This is just not good. It sounds like it might be good, but in reality, it's definitely not good. These companies are definitely working together to kind of get more of a grip on the market, and HiDive in
No, Crunchyroll is doing that to get more of a grip on the market. These people are under threat of death if they don't join the alliance, so called. They don't stand a chance against Crunchyroll, so when Crunchyroll said, "Hey, work for me." We'll call it working together, but work for me. That's how that conversation went.
general, I see why they're doing this, because they're bleeding money, they're bleeding series, they need to do something, but it's more or less them slowing their death instead of just letting it happen.
Exactly.
Because that's exactly what this looks like. But this is bad. Like, this is really bad news. We knew it was going to happen. Like, I sensed HiDive was not going to last much longer with all the bad news that keeps coming out about them. But this really is like the icing on the cake, showcasing that it's just the end. Like, I honestly give them at max 2 years, and then something's going to happen. Either something massive is going to shift with HiDive, or they're going to announce a complete joint merger with Crunchyroll to some degree. For instance, they're going to allow series from HiDive to be on Crunchyroll and vice versa, and eventually HiDive is just going to be consumed by Crunchyroll. I see something like that happening, because at the end of the day, Crunchyroll, even though they own a monopoly on anime, it's still a very niche field in comparison to everything else within the industry, especially in movies and entertainment. Like, everything going on with, like, Warner Brothers right now. When it comes to Warner Brothers and Paramount and Netflix, those are big head honchos, big mega corporations pretty much competing over massive titles. But
Not anymore. Netflix is buying Warner Brothers. Because we live in hell. And we can't have anything good in this world anymore. All thanks to maximizing shareholder value. Fuck capitalism. I love capitalism. I love money. I love making money. I love the idea of capitalism. I don't like what it's become today. I don't. I really, 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 really hate it. And while I'm definitely not going to say let's switch over to communism or fascism or whatever else, I am allowed to be unhappy, and I will say that I'm unhappy. Simple as that. it was one thing when we had bad economies, but now that it's actively seeking to destroy and ruin anything and everything that we hold dear. Culture no longer exists, also known as a culture is a dollar sign, especially if you don't understand it. Corporate Brainrot number 42. And I'm just tired. I'm tired of all of this negativity. I just want to make fun anime reviews videos. Ugh, I gotta finish that VTuber Legend review.
Crunchyroll, yes, they might own a monopoly on anime, but it is nothing in comparison to, let's say, something like Netflix or Paramount and Warner Brothers. That's why a lot of people are unaware of the situation that's been building over the years. But I want to leave it at that. I want to talk about this because this news graced my feed, and I was just like, man. It's what I expected. I called it years ago, but here we are. So, anyways, I'll leave it at that. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. It helps me out a lot. I love you guys. Be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.
And Regnoi out too. I'm gonna wrap everything up and call it a night here. Thank you everyone for tuning in, especially Poppy. Always happy to have you in chat. And good night.